Hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Maria Devita Arya Maharani. I'm from Diplomatry English Department Uniksa Bali. I'm from 5B class. Today, I would like to explain about the Unit 3. It is about the Enquiries. So everyone, without any further ado, let's begin. So everyone, before I explain about the inquiries, I want to tell you about the definition of letter inquiries. It is a letter written to inquiry the information related to something. It can be written if a person wants to buy an items or wants to go on a trip and etc. The objective of inquiry letter is to make a request to the recipient. So everyone, the first part to making inquiries is opening. In the opening, there are three parts. The first is tell your supplier what sort of organization you are. For example, like we are one the main producer of industrial semi-scale in Germany, and we are interested in blah blah blah. The next is how did you hear about the company you are contacting? For example, like we were giving your name by the Hoteliers Association in Paris. The last is it is possible to use other references. For example, like we were impressed by the selection of gardening tools displayed on your stand at this year's Hamburg Gardening Exhibition. The next part to making inquiries is asking for catalogs, price lists, etc. It's not necessary to give a lot of information about yourself when asking for catalogs, price lists, etc. This can be done by letter, fax, or email, but remember to give your postal address. It is also helpful to point out briefly any particular items you are interested in. Next is asking for details. When asking for goods or services, you should be specific and state exactly what you want. If replying to an advertisement, you should mention the journal or newspaper and its date, and quote any box number or department number given. For example, as you can see in this slide, like box note point 341 depth 4 per 128. Next is asking for samples, patterns, and demonstrations. Most suppliers are willing to provide samples or patterns so that you can make a selection. However, few would send a complex piece of machinery for you to look at. Instead, you would probably be invited to visit a showroom. As you can see in this slide, this is the example for asking for samples. We would also appreciate it if you could send some samples of the material so that we can examine the texture and quality. The next slide is about the suggesting terms, method of payment, and discounts. As you can see in this slide, this is the example of suggesting terms, method of payment, and discounts. The first is, as a rule, our suppliers allow us to settle by monthly statement and we can offer the usual references if necessary. And then the second one, it is about the could you let us know if you allow cash discounts? Next is asking for goods on approval or on sale or return. Sometimes retailers and wholesalers want to see how a line will sell before placing a firm order with a supplier. Two ways of doing this are by getting goods on approval or on sale or return basis. In either case, the supplier would have to know the customer well or would want trade references. The supplier will also place time limit on when the goods must be returned or paid for. Next is asking for an estimate or tender. Estimates are quotation to complete a job. For the example, putting a new roof on a factory of installing machinery. Tenders. Tenders are similar quotation but in written form. They are often used when the job is a large one, for example, building a complete factory. When the work is for a government or is a large undertaking, there are often newspaper advertisements inviting tenders. The last part to making enquiries is closing. Usually, a simple thank you is sufficient to close an inquiry. However, you could mention that a prompt reply would be appreciated, or that certain terms or guarantees would be necessary. For example, of closing is we would be grateful for an early reply, or we hope to hear from you in the near future. So everyone, as you can see in this slide, this is the one example of inquiry. Request for a catalog and price list. So everyone, points to remember when you making an inquiry. The first is give details of your own company as well as asking for information from your prospective supplier. Number 2, be specific and state exactly what you want. If possible, quote box numbers, catalog references, and etc. to help your supplier identify the product. Number 3, ask for sample if you are uncertain about a product. Number 4, suggest terms and discount but be prepared for the supplier to make a counter offer. The last is close with expressions such as I look forward to hearing from you. So everyone, that's all my explanation about Unit 3. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.